So just to finish up that thought, sweetheart, listen, I want it to be exactly as you want it to be. No more, no less. I do not want to infringe on your family. I know you're family oriented, so am I. And I love that about you. I respect that about you, and I want that for you. I do not want to take away any time from your dad, your brother, your family, your mom, anybody else, friends. I want you to have things just as you want them. I just wanted a little bit of your time. But you know what? If you don't want to give it to me, hey, you know what? I'm going to love you just the same. And all I can say is the guy's going to be very lucky that gets you. And yes, totally jealous. So there's no way. I don't rub my nose, so I'm not looking to, uh, find out any more about your love life beyond that, except to say, I'm a very jealous guy. And I don't, it's like King Solomon said, what man can stand up to jealousy? I can't. So, yeah, I could say this, that it's a very lucky, 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 lucky man that wins your hand, because you, my sweetheart, are a prize, a delightful, adorable, the greatest prize that God could ever give a man. And you are the exemplification of that prize. A perfect woman, okay? I know that. I know that I could 100% give you everything I've got in terms of devotion, okay? And I'd be a good husband. I learned a lot from the past, and I would never, I would never hurt you in any way. And I just want it to be exactly as you want it to be, and that's what would make me happy. I'm absolutely confident, certain of that. And anyhow, yeah, because I just don't want to change you. I see you as absolutely perfect. I like every. Look, I can't find a thing I don't like about you. I just wrote a poem last night, thinking about if somebody asks you, well, what do you like about me? What do you like about her? Well, I tell you what, there's nothing I don't like about her. I like every damn thing I can think of about her. All those factors that people consider when they think of a partner, a mate, and I just see her as perfect, the perfect arm and soul candy that just delights my heart to no end. And I see myself as I could be full and whole and satisfied, content, and nothing short of someone at least. I mean, another gal comes down the line. It's, hey, you know what? Another one came along. But you know what? It was a long time between finding a woman that I was this taken by and now. So, my hopes aren't high, but for that. But you know what? Let God's will be done, not my will, and not your will either. If God tells you that he wants you to be with me, take him up on it. Listen to him. Pray about it. But don't listen to naysayers that tell you, hey, that guy, he's too old. That guy, oh, he smokes. Or that guy, he's too poor. Just don't listen to him, okay? Because I can answer for all those things. Okay, we can fix all those things are fixable. I fully intend on living to be 120. Will you? Well, maybe if you're with me, because I'll show you how to take care of yourself. I'll teach you that your body is just like a machine. So you'll have longevity and health and beauty and all those things for many, many years, decades into the future, with a guy like me that can show you the ropes about that. But anyhow, so the money thing, money is no object. I'm a smart guy. Anything I've ever tried to learn, I can learn and ace it every time. The history shows it, and my scholastic educational history proves that. And as far as smoking goes, I've quit before, and I was happier when I didn't smoke. And I make a mountain out of a molehill. I know it's not that big a deal, and the cigarette stores aren't going anywhere. And if I feel like I'm going to nut up or something, whatever that means, because actually I smile more when I'm not smoking. I'm happier. So, I do enjoy smoking, but I could quit that too. I mean, if anything about you bugs me too much, because pleasing you would be number one. But, I know you don't want to change me either, so that's got to be in your mind, because people will tell you, oh, you don't go into a relationship trying to change somebody. But all I can say is my happiness level would go through the roof. I can't imagine there'd be another happier man on the face of the earth just to have your hand. And again, very little time and attention. Separate residences. I love it. I've got a great life right here where I am. Great life. You know, you might not think so looking from the outside in, but hey, if I invite you into my world, you'll see why I like it so much. And I know you've got a great life and family and friends that love and care about you very much. And I want you to keep that. I don't want to take any of that. That's great stuff. That's good, godly stuff. Keep it. Those are the values I like in a woman. See, I like everything about you, even that. So very little time. Very little time. I want it the way you want it to be. No more nor less, okay? And that's all I got to say. So, yeah, you know, if I was such an old man and over the hill, then why then are there so many cute ladies in their 20s hitting on me? Just last night at the grocery store, there was a couple of nights ago, actually. But she was so pretty, and she was looking at me, a Latina lady, very petite, very sweet looking, dressed in her summer dress, and she smiled at me, and I know she would have been so easy to approach and say hi, you know, just talk to her a little bit and say, are you new to town? But she reminded me of you, Lauren, and God, she was a pretty thing. Very sweet, petite lady. But you know what? I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait and see what happens here in the near future. But I tell you what, I am just not content being alone. I am not content. I have tried to be self-satisfied. I can't do it. I know my values, and the greatest value that I could ever attain, the greatest gift from God I can ever attain in this world, besides His Son Jesus Christ, is the hand of a perfect woman. And that's your hand, sweetheart. That's your hand I want. And that's it. I'm going to end it there. I'm going to get into some recent current events from this past week. I don't have too much written down here. But, you know, I talked about plants and why, you know, rose would have thorns and, you know, what does it help save it? It doesn't help save it from anything. But yet you'll find it from, don't eat it because of the thorns. And that's why it made thorns. It's got a brain. Well, if it was so smart, then it would come up with ways to thwart the other diseases that it gets, right? It would find out, well, what are my defenses against aphids? No, it's completely useless against aphids, so it's not very intelligent, right? So if plants have intelligence, if they have brains, they're not very big ones. Now, there is such a thing called acclimatization, where a plant, if it's endemic, native to a certain area, it can be, over time, gradually acclimatized to live in another climate that may be not as perfect for it. So there is a degree of, I guess, adaptation, you would call that, acclimatization with plants. But it's because God built it in like an instinct, just like birds have an instinct to be afraid of the hunter, right? They know, they don't know that you're just gonna, you'll want to pet it, you want to hold it on your finger and snuggle it a little and tell it how cute it is. No, they're not going to take that chance. So they got instincts. And plants are kind of like that too. They're instincts that God built into the plant. But thorns on a rose, that's devilish. That's the kind of thing Satan would do. And that's why I say it's a tit for a tat. So Satan comes up with a mosquito. Satan's got procreative qualities, right? I mean, these are living beings. And so God thwarts it, because why would God, what kind of an a-hole would God be to make these mosquitoes that can give you encephalitis, die of brain disease, right? So that's why I say it's tit for tat. That, Satan comes up with the mosquitoes, then God comes up with the bats and the frogs and the lizards that'll gobble them up, right? And on like that in that theme. And the whole predator and prey thing, I think, is it's a corrupted paradigm. I think it comes from the fall of man, the original sin, this knowledge of good and evil, whatever that's a metaphor for, this forbidden fruit that we imbibed in, or our ancestors did, And now it's like it's in our genetics because we can't shake it, right? Because once you know something, it's hard to unknow it. It's sort of like that. So it's like death is an ancient memory. It's in our genetics and our DNA and all that. So science can prove it. And it was handed down by our ancestors, and it's taken these thousands of years to play itself out. But eventually it will play itself out. And we will have pure hearts again. And death will be swallowed up in victory, because that was the warning. God said, surely, if you eat from that tree on that day, you're going to die. Well, so the serpent would argue, well, you're not going to die. God's lying to you. You're just going to be equal to God, knowing good and evil. But eventually death did come. So it was a deceitful truth. It was a half-truth. You get how that works? So we were told that's why our ancestors bought it. They said, oh, well, we want to be equal with God. Yeah, why is God keeping us away from this delicious fruit? Well, we found out the hard way. And those in the know would never do it again if they had their chance. Okay, that's me. I'm one of those that would not eat. It'd take God's direction and say, you're right, God. I'm leaving that fruit alone. Whatever that thing is, I don't want to know. We'll just leave it there. Leave it on the shelf where you wanted us to leave it. So that's what the righteous people of today would do, the good and righteous people that hunger and thirst for righteousness to be the rule of the day upon the earth. That's what they would do. They would reject eating that fruit of knowledge of good and evil. But we can't undo something. It's already been done. So now we know all the sin. We know murder. Remember, that was one of the first sins. Cain murdering Abel. Jealousy, resentment, envy. The bad kind of jealousy, not the good kind where it's natural the way God is jealous. He's a jealous God, it's described in Scripture. He yearns, desires his spirit to dwell within us. See, he wants no other gods ahead of us. That's what he's jealous about. Okay? That we honor him above all else and have no other gods in our lives. That's the good kind of jealousy. We have reverence for him, respect. We don't want to hurt him. We don't want to make him jealous. We don't want to provoke him. That's a good kind of jealousy. The bad kind is what Cain engaged in, resentment and envy of his brother Abel. So one of the first sins, and then we've got, of course, lust is a big one, right? We could walk around naked. Could you imagine what a huge departure that alone is from how it is? I mean, how guilty do we feel? We all have compunction. I mean, looking at a naked person, but then, well, what's wrong with it? God asked the first question he asked us after the fall of man was, who told you? You understand? God already knew. It was a rhetorical question. But he was saddened. He was hurt deeply that this had happened to us, that we could even lust. How could we know that we were naked and try to cover up? It's our shame. What shame? You see? But who doesn't struggle with that? For who is it not a battle? Which one of us is going to inadvertently drive downtown naked and go to the hardware store? I mean, it just doesn't happen. We're all very aware, very cognizant of our shame, our nakedness. Shame, right? That's what, we were suckered into. And, now we can't say, well, that's, women can't say that man's got a beautiful body, and that guy can't say, well, that woman's got a beautiful body without feeling dirty, without feeling lustful. It's a sin, right? And our hearts are impure. When I watch these crime shows and I see the stuff people do for a few bucks, it's bizarre. I mean, even to their beloved. That's why I'm against life insurance. When I hear all the people, life insurance, people are killing over the life insurance of their beloved. What kind of sick? They call this a marriage, holy matrimony? It blows my mind. So, yeah, prenups all the way. That ought to be the norm. Lawyers probably wouldn't like that, though, because all this squabbling over property and money and crap in relationships is big business for the lawyers, right? So you understand why they're not promoting, prenups as the norm, and anybody that doesn't want to sign a prenup is to be held with suspicion and say, hey, you know what, maybe you're not the right person for me. I'm rich, and I'm marrying this poor woman, or I'm this rich woman marrying this poor guy, and no, you know what? I'm not going to have that. You're not getting half my stuff because you might just be an evil person that's marrying me. So you understand the logic and reason behind, how I feel about this is that, yeah, I think outside the box. I do. So maybe I am an enigma in that sense, but I think we should all think outside the box. God allows it. He wants it. He encourages it. I mean, think big. Think things through and through. Don't be afraid to be different. Good God. I mean, you're here for a little while. Be exactly who you want to be. Don't compromise that. That's like compromising your very soul. Your heart, your mind, your spirit, your conscience, your integrity, your honor, your reputation.